Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to be working on lesson 4 in this video and the next couple of videos. So the first portion of it is solving proportions and then solving some word problems that have proportions in them. This is usually a fairly easy section for students. They remember it from high school, so there usually aren't too many problems here. And then the second part of this section will be working with solving inequalities. So solving proportions we'll start with. I do have a warm-up problem for you. So if you could go to your practice test. You know how I like to start with a little review of what we've learned. Page 1 of the practice test. So we've done several of the problems around it, all of the problems around it actually. We left 7. It's what we left off on the last video. So I would like you to turn off your video and work this one out and then turn it back on and we'll check and see how you did. Okay. Okay, so for this one, again, there's no fractions, so we have to start with the parentheses. So that leaves us with 5x minus 20 plus 2x minus 3 equals 7x plus 5. So 5x minus 20 plus 2x minus 3 equals 7x plus 5. So remember, before we start actually solving and moving things, we first have to combine like terms. We don't do the opposite because we're not moving from side to side. Everything's going to stay on the left side after this step. So we're just simply combining like terms using their given signs. So 5x plus 2x is 7x. Negative 20 and negative 3 is negative 23. Equals 7x plus 5. So right away I can see this is one of our special cases. So then I say to myself, okay, always true, all real numbers. Never true, no solution. So AANN. So when we bring the 7x over, so we have to do the opposite. Remember, both 7x sets of 7x's cancel. Don't bring an x down. That's a #1 mistake. Students do x minus 23 equals 5 and they add 23 to both sides and write the answer as 28. No, 7 minus 7 is 0, not 1x. It's 0, gone. There are no x's left in the problem. So then we're left with negative 23 equals 5. That is not a true statement. So never true means no solution. And like I said, Alex has 2 different ways for you to do that depending on the problem. So it may have the option of no solution in the toolbox. You can just click on it. Or if there's not an option for no solution, then we put the empty set symbols. You'll never have to do both. It will be one or the other. So an empty set means there's no solution. Nothing's inside of it. Okay. And then the other case would be 5 equals 5, and that's always true. So then we would write all real numbers. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our new lesson. So proportions and inequalities. We have an exciting couple of days here. So proportions are when you set 2 fractions equal. That's what a proportion is. 2 fractions set equal. Or you could say set 2 ratios equal. Ratios are a fraction. There's 3 ways to write ratios. 2/1, 2:1, or 2:1. So those are all ways to write ratios, but in math, obviously, unless we're doing odds or something like that, we usually go with the fraction. So set 2 fractions or 2 ratios equal, and we get what's called a proportion, and because there's an equal sign, that means we have to be able to solve it. And this is the part most students remember from high school or past math classes. You set your 2 cross products equal. That means you multiply. A times D is AD, and you set it equal to the other cross product, which is B times C. So A times D equals B times C. So you're probably thinking, well, why didn't she show us this on the last page? Well, we didn't have a fraction set equal to a fraction. This is a fraction set equal to two numbers, and this is three fractions. You can only do cross products when there's one fraction on the left and one fraction on the right, which neither one of these have. So here's some examples of what they look like. One fraction, 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 one fraction. So those are proportions. One fraction set equal to another fraction. And then we solve by setting the cross products equal. AD equals B times C. So first we're just going to practice writing fractions. So set each ratio as a fraction, or express each ratio as a fraction. Reduced. They don't really like that word anymore. Now they like the word simplified to lowest terms. So I guess a lot of teachers thought students think when they're simplifying a fraction, they're making it smaller, and they're not. So they don't like the word reduced anymore. That came right out of our textbook, by the way. So express each ratio as a fraction simplified to lowest terms. So order matters, just like it does in division. So 32 goes in the numerator, 48 goes in the denominator. So I'm going to do it by hand, and I'm going to show you how to check it on your calculator. So you could pick 2 to divide by, you could pick 4, you could pick 8, and you could pick 16. But a lot of students don't know the largest one, so I say, well, just go with whichever one you know. And then you can simplify it again if you need to. So I think most people would know both of these are divisible by 4. And so 32 divided by 4 is 8. 48 divided by 4, cut it in half twice. 24, cut it in half again, 12. But then I can see 4 goes into both of those again. So then I simplify both by dividing by 4 again. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And had we picked 16 right at the get-go, we would have gotten there. But a lot of students say, oh, I don't really know how to simplify fractions. I can never find the biggest number. You don't need to. Just keep simplifying till nothing goes into both of them except for one. So there's no reason ever to think you can't simplify because you can't find the largest one. You could have picked 2 and did 2 4 times. So any number that goes into both, and just keep breaking it down as the numbers get smaller, it will get easier. Okay. On the calculator, you type it in as a fraction. 32 fraction bar 48. Make sure you have the order correct. And then you hit enter. Ding, 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 ding. Too easy, right? But like I said, I would continue doing as much stuff by hand as you can because you're going to run into some no calculator tests. So keep up your skills and then check it on your calculator. So this next one is 35 over 20. So 35 must go on the top. You don't get to pick which one goes in the numerator because a lot of students will turn this around and I'm like, no, 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 no. That means you think that 4 divided by 1 and 1 divided by 4 are the same thing. This is 4 and this is 1/4. They are not the same thing. They're actually inverses, the opposite of being the same. This is 4 whole pies. This is 1/4 of a pie. So not even close. Order matters in division. So the first number goes in the numerator, second number denominator. This one's easy because they're both divisible by 5. I think this one's actually easier to do by hand than the calculator, and I'll show you why in a second. So anything that ends in 5 and 0 is divisible by 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 20 divided by 5 is 4. And when they say simplify, that means no mixed numbers. Absolutely not, because it's not a ratio if you make it a mixed number. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers, 3.5, or in this case, what would it be? 1 3/4 is not a ratio. So you would get that counted wrong if you wrote a mixed number, because this says write a ratio. So how would we do it on the calculator? And like I said, the calculator is probably more work than by hand on this one. So you do the same first step, 35 fraction bar 20, but it's going to give you a mixed number. So then you have to use this, change a mixed number to a fraction. So second fraction bar, hit equal, and look at that, same answer as us. But what a lot of students do is they go straight to the calculator, they see the 1 3/4 and they write that and they get it wrong. So to me, doing it by hand was easier on that one than doing it with the calculator. Okay, so find the ratio of women to men. So I kind of like to write it down so that I keep the order correct. So women in the numerator, men in the denominator. So women, 10,000. Men, 160,000. And then do you guys remember this trick from your previous math classes? Gone, 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 gone. No calculator needed on this one. The ratio is 1 to 16. Piece of cake. So you can cancel the same number of zeros from the numerator and denominator. That's like dividing by 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. 10,000 divided by 10,000 is 1. 160,000 divided by 10,000 is 16. So instead of trying to do all that hard math in your head, ding, 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 you can cancel the same number of zeros. Now this one you have to read carefully. Men to Marines. So sometimes they don't give you the number you want or you need, so you have to find it yourself. So men, they gave us 160,000. Marines, they did not. So we would add the men plus the women to get the number of Marines total, which is 170,000. And then you can do the same thing. Ding, 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 ding. Boom. No calculator needed. 16 over 17. So Marines means the two together. All of these are the Marines. So men over the total. Pretty easy stuff, right? Okay, so solving a proportion, anytime there's a negative in front, as there is on a couple of these, you need to move it either to the numerator or the denominator. Remember how we said, and I should do this, I'll probably do this part on the next warm-up so we can talk about this some more. Remember how we said these are all equal. So if it's in front, it doesn't matter whether you put it in the numerator or in the denominator, all equivalent. And that's a huge thing to know. There are several problems in my 126 and 121 class where you can't leave the negative in the denominator, so you need to know either to put it up front or up in the numerator. So all three of those are equivalent. So knowing that, we can take this, because when you do your cross products, you have to have the negative with something. You can't leave it out there. So I just cross it out, put it up with the 7. Same thing here, but I'm not going to put it in the numerator because there's two things up there. I would have to distribute it to both. So this one, it's easier to move it down here. So we can't leave it outside in front when we're setting our cross products equal. So that's the first thing. Any negatives, move them up or down, whichever one has a single term. So this one I could have done either. This one that is not friendly, this is the friendly one. I always start the other thing with the x cross product because we know we want x on the left, so why not start with the cross product that has the x in it? So negative 7 times x is negative 7x equals, this cross product will be 9 times 21. And then we use our calculator to work that out. 9 times 21. There's actually an easier way to do it in your head, but I'm not going to go into all of that. So the easiest way is to divide it by 7 and then cancel the 21 and 7, but I'm not sure we're all ready for that yet, so I won't try to teach you little tricks here, especially since you have a calculator. So this is our new problem, and then you just solve it like normal. The opposite of times negative 7 is divide by negative 7. So with the 189 still in there, divided by negative 7. And so see how that says the answer to your last problem divided by negative 7. And that would be negative 27. And we knew it was going to be negative because one negative is negative. So x equals negative 27. Okay. So go ahead and do B. It's just like A. And then we'll move on to the ones that are a little bit more rigorous. Not hard, just a little more work. So turn off your video, work that one out, and then we will check it when you come back. So here we get 5x. Put it on the left, equals 12. Divide by 5, divide by 5, x equals 12 fifths. Okay, so next we have this one. So I'll do this one with you and I'll let you guys do D. So 5, and then I do parentheses x minus 4. So I do my x cross product first, equals 3 times negative 10. So 5 times x minus 4 equals 3 times negative 10. So 5x minus 20 equals negative 30. And I'll let you guys finish solving that for a second. 1 second, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I'm watching my daughter's dog and she's having a nervous breakdown. I don't think she's ever been away from my daughter. So 5x minus 20, and I couldn't find the pause button. I used to have a pause button, but I don't think there is one anymore. So then you would have added 20 to both sides, because x's are already on the left. Now we need to get everything else on the right. And so that leaves me with 5x equals, when the signs are different, we subtract. 30 minus 20 is 10, and keep the sign of the larger. And then last but not least, divide both sides by 5, because that's the opposite of times, and that gives us x equals negative 2. So everybody do okay on that one? Okay, go ahead and try D. Remember, we're solving for x. So start with the x cross product first. And then do the set it equal to the other cross product. And students like get all jittery and nervous when it's letters. It's no big deal when it's letters. Do the exact same thing. So follow this and do the exact same thing you did on this one. Okay. And come back when you're done, and then we'll grade it. Or check it, or see how you did. Okay, so this cross product is CX, as we said, and you can write C times X if you want. That just helps remind you what the last step is going to be. This cross product, you'll do the exact thing, same thing we did here. You write the D outside and inside parentheses, because there's two terms, is A minus B. So C times X equals D times A minus B. Then you do the same thing we did here. You distribute, and remember, write your letters in alphabetical order. So this is C times X equals A D minus B D. And I don't think they're real picky about the order of letters, but later on they will be. So just make it a practice. Always write your letters alphabetically. So A comes before D, B comes before D. And then I'm only one step away, because solve for X means get X alone. Well, it's one step to get X alone. The opposite of times C, divide by C. And there's your answer. So that one was actually easier than the one before. Once you got past the whole fact that it was letters, doesn't matter. You do them all the same. Set your cross products equal. Any parentheses, do distributive, and then do the opposite to get X alone. Same old, same old. Okay, for the next one, these two are the same, so we'll do the same thing. We'll first solve this one, and then I'll let you guys work on this one. So same thing, it's a one fraction equal to one fraction, so we simply set our cross products equal. So 2 times, and remember, whenever you have 2 or more terms, you have to put them in parentheses. So 2 times 3x plus 2 equals 9, 2 terms, so again parentheses. So there's your new equation. So instead of multiplying by the LCD, which we still could on these, it would just take longer because it's a single fraction on the left, single fraction on the right, we can simply set our cross products equal. But lots of times students forget the parentheses and they miss these, because then you'll only be multiplying the 2 by the 3x and forget that it also needs to be multiplied by the 2. That's why the parentheses are required. So with this side, we get 6x plus 4 equals 9x minus 9. And next we need all of our x's on the left side. So I do the opposite. This one has no sign, so it's positive 9x, so I subtract 9x. Gone. 6 minus 9, negative 3x. The signs are different, so subtract and keep the sign of the larger. And second to the last, all numbers go to the right. Remember, they're called constants, all constants on the right. So we're crossing the equal sign, do the opposite. And this is the one I was telling you about earlier. A lot of students miss on the test. Minute you see that double negative, you got to remember, oh, this is the kind I have to add the opposite. So we have, let's bring it up here, negative 3x equals negative 13. Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, plus plus. Do it right away, then you'll never miss it. So 2 negatives equal a positive on both sides. And the opposite of times -3 is divide by -3. So that leaves me with 1x, which is x, and it's simply going to be positive 13/3. No need to change it to a mixed number, just leave it. Okay, the next one is yours, so shut off the video. And this is as hard as they get. If you can do this one, you can do any one. So give it a good shot. Don't wait until I do it. You're not learning as much that way. It's much better to try it on your own first. And then come back and we'll see how you did. For this one, we have 5 times 2x plus 1, and you might be thinking, does it matter which side I put them on? Absolutely not. I try to find the one that's going to have the biggest x sometimes, and I saw here this was going to be 10x, 7x. That way my x's are positive, but no. So if you have it exactly opposite of me, that's fine. We all get the same answer. So 5 times the quantity, parentheses 2x plus 1, equals 7 times the quantity, x minus 3. So this will give us 10x plus 5 equals 7x minus 21. And always use the arms so you don't accidentally forget to distribute to both terms inside. And then we do the process. X's move to the left, so do the opposite since you're crossing the equal sign. And we get 3x plus 5 equals, gone, negative 21. Don't lose that negative in front of it. That sign stays with it. All constants on the right, so do the opposite, minus 5 minus 5. So 3x equals negative 26. And opposite of times 3, divide by 3. So there is my solution. And like I said, improper fractions, as long as they're simplified, are almost always asked for in ALEKS. And you know how to make it a mixed number if they didn't. So if on this one they say write your answer as a mixed number, you just do negative 26 using the negative key at the bottom, fraction bar 3, and boom, there's your mixed number if ALEKS did ask for it. So you just click on the fraction bar, it defaults to mixed numbers. Okay, that's the end of our first video. I'll see you on the next page.